Hello and welcome back to Brand New Wine Stitches. Today is May 28th, 2024 and this is Flosstube number 4. So for those of you guys that are in America, we just celebrated Memorial Day, which was actually quite a lot of fun, even though it's been pretty stormy and rainy here in the Midwest. Southeastern Michigan specifically has been quite rainy and stormy. We've had, I think Sunday night we had like a major thunderstorm all night long, and that carried into Memorial Day. At least we thought it was going to. So our city puts on a parade for our town that my kids love to go and see every year, so we took them to see that, and then we walked down to where they were saying, hey, come have free lunch, hot dogs and a bounce house and everything, and we went down there to do that, but then halfway through we're like, maybe we should walk home because it's really windy, the sky's really gray, it's starting to look like it might thunderstorm, even though the weather forecast wasn't calling for any storms, which kind of sucked because we had a really cool addition to our parade this year. We had it last year too, but it was really cool this year to see it back. It's called the Raminator. It's a monster truck, and my son, he's 3, he's a boy, he's all about monster trucks. Like, he was so enthralled by seeing this monster truck that was pretty much all he could say the entire time we were at the parade was, monster truck, monster truck. So they only got to see it in the parade. Last year when it was here, we got to ride on it in the back, which was really cool. Never had an experience like that before. But this year we didn't really get to do that because, again, we weren't sure what the weather was going to be like. I'm sure they were letting people, but we didn't want to get caught in a rainstorm on our way home, so we called it quits early. And then we found out later we could have stayed because it didn't rain at all, which was great. Gotta love Michigan weather. Wait 5 minutes, it'll change. But that's pretty much all that's been going on new in my life for the last 2 weeks. Yeah, so you guys aren't here to hear about my life. You guys are here to see my stitching. And I'm pleased to say that not only did I complete all of my May goals already, and it's not even the end of May quite yet, we've got a few more days, but I also did the entire May 1st section of the storybook cell that I was hoping I would get done. So, let me grab all of my patterns, my papers over here. Not my papers, my fabrics. So, storybook cell. This is our little guess piece part of it. We don't have the whole preview of it, but that's fine. So last time I think I had approximately 400 stitches done. So I had maybe like a third of it done. And I've now successfully completed May's call, or May's section. So I'm super pleased. So we know that this is going to be a staircase. I didn't call for any backstitching yet, so we'll see if there'll be backstitching later to like complete the stairs, but no backstitching yet. So I don't know if we're gonna go up, down, left, right, where we're gonna go next, if we're gonna maybe go to a corner, but we'll see. I get the next section on June 1st, and we'll see what we go to after that. Supposedly it's covered with, surrounded by bookshelves, so it could be a mystery section. I know the preview said there was a romance section, there's a fiction section, I think, so we'll see what section comes up next in our June, so we'll see. So that's the storybook cell that I've been working on, and I got finished. The May WIPGO calls I also needed to do were for Amethyst and for Avarice. So Amethyst, I worked on, this is our pretty little Japanese, Chinese, Asian lady, Asian, that's because we don't know, Asian, with all of the purple sky, purple ribbons, amethyst colors, and the pretty moon. So I've started, last time you guys saw it, this is where we were, and I've done about 400 stitches on this. Where is my, there it is. They're so big that I have to find the corner of where they are so I can show them to you guys. So here's where we are. Let me get these threads down so you can see it better. Alright, so here is where we are. It's really showing up quite blue, quite navy on here, but I promise you that this is all like a violet color in here. So this is not very true to color, but it is showing up pretty dark, which is better than it showing up black. So you can kind of see some of the colors in there. And I know go 2 blocks diagonal down this way, and we'll start seeing some of that pretty ribbon. So excited for that, but I don't know if I'll be pulling her out for a while. I've had a lot of other projects get put on the back burner, which I'll get to that in a few minutes. Let me fold this back the way I had it. There we go. I had it folded out the whole time so that we could see it. There we go. That's how I have it folded. All right. And then I also worked on, hold on, sorry. The problem with having 4 animals that are fuzzy in a house means that there's always hair on something. And it's the worst feeling when it's on your tongue. Couldn't get rid of it. It's gone now. Don't worry. Okay, so now that that's dealt with, we also worked on Avarice, or Pride, for this month. And the WIPGO calls were only for 500 stitches. So this is what she's going to look like when she's all done. She's very pretty, very golden, lots of diamonds. And then this is where you guys saw it last time. Only had a little tiny start. I had clearly only worked on this one time when I started her and then never picked her back up. To be quite honest, she's not my favorite of the Deadly Sins. When I was starting these last year, I was part of a Facebook group that was like doing like prompts so that you would kind of rotate through your stitches, and Envy kept getting called. So Envy got called a lot, and so Envy got a lot of the stitches, and if I had to choose one, I was leaning towards like Lust or Wrath or Vanity. So Avarice didn't get that much, so I'm really glad she got called on my WIPGO boards, that I could get quite a bit of stitching done on her. So this is where we are now. So now we have 500 more stitches, and we are at 0.29% on Avarice. And I've done it again. I didn't tell you guys what percentage we were at previously. On Amethyst, we made it to 0.42%, so we're almost 0.5% done. And with Storybook Cell, obviously we're 100% done with part 1. So we'll see where we're at with part 2 when that comes out in June. But it's May, May. So the other thing I've been stitching on that's been getting quite a lot of my focus lately has been my Mirabilia, the Lady of the Flag. So last time you guys saw her, this is where she was at. I had one section of her dress done, and I had made a grievous error in my marking off on my pattern markup RXP. I almost said pattern keeper, but it's not pattern keeper. Markup RXP. But it's since resolved. We've been joyfully stitching on her again. So now this is where we're at. So I stopped going down, started going over to the side. So I've been mostly working on this cream section right here. This is all 712, but it blends right in with the background. We'll have some beading here when we're all done, but I've read enough that you wait to do the beading until you're done stitching so they're not crushed in the Q-snap or the hoop. So I'm gonna wait. We're waiting until we're done for the beading, which is gonna be fun. But we've been working here in the 712, getting some more holes set up for the beading, and then I know that this is where her flagpole is going to, I still can't get my hand set. This is where her flagpole is going to come down. It helps if I look at the pattern in the fabric in my hand. Words are not working right today. So this is where it's going to come down. That's going to be the flagpole. But I've worked on her a lot. The last 2 weeks she's gotten approximately 500 stitches, so in total this month she's gotten like 1,600 stitches, and that puts her, I think, close to 13% done, and so I'm probably not going to work on her for most of the summer. I might not pull her back out until September, because as we all know, the Lady of the Flag was designed in honor of 9/11, so I feel it's only right to bring her back out around 9/11 and work on her at least a little bit, but I probably won't work on her throughout June, July, or August, just because I've worked on her so much. And granted, I love her, but I've had a lot of my other projects that are being neglected. So Markup RXP, and I don't know if Pattern Keeper has this, which would, if it doesn't, that's kind of a checkpoint on the Apple side of things. But Markup RXP, I just came out with an update, and they allowed you to sort and filter your patterns by a variety of different criteria. So you can, normally it would just show up based on when you started stitching on the pattern or when you first uploaded it. I forget which one it was, because I think it was when you first started stitching on something in there, as how they were loaded in there. Well, now you can sort them by when you uploaded them, when you started stitching on them, how many stitches are in there, what percentage is done, when you last accessed the file. So you can sort them by a number of different criteria, and you can do an ascending or descending order, which is amazing, because then I've got like 40, 30 something like that in there that are active, and then I've preloaded my Markup RXP with all of the other patterns that I have on standby that are in the wings. Don't have fabric ready for them, but the patterns are in the wings, so I've got like 100 patterns on Markup RXP. It's ridiculous. I don't know if I'll ever get them all stitched in my life, but that's the fun. It's, you know, something to keep me going. So I started sorting through the ones that I have. Words are hard. I was sorting through the ones that I was actively stitching on, and found that I have like 8 of the patterns that I haven't even touched since last year. And we're almost halfway through 2024. And I have like 8 patterns that I just haven't touched. Like Arctic Dreams, which is all of the pretty Arctic animals and the iceberg in the ocean. Envy, Lust, Songs Under the Cherry Tree. I haven't worked on any of those patterns in at least the last 6 months. And so I need to get those guys worked on this year so that I can say I've worked on everything this year, as well as trying to finish Labyrinth, because I've been trying to get that done this whole month, but I knew I needed to get my WIPGO calls done first, so I just haven't gotten around to that. But now that my WIPGO calls are done, maybe that'll be the focus for the next couple of days. But speaking of WIPGO, we got our June WIPGO calls. I don't remember the exact numbers. I think they were 2 and 25, but all I know is that for me, that means that I have to stitch 400 stitches on Festive Feline, which she's my Pixel, or my husband's cat Pixel, because he's in the room. He's about to glare at me if I don't correct it. She looks like it, but it's not quite my cat, our cat, but our cat has a little white stripe up her nose, which I'm probably going to put in there, just so I can say it is Pixel. So I have to work on 400 stitches of that. But I've also put on my WIPGO board other projects that are not related to cross stitch. So I decided to start a blanket. I had like 4 or 5, maybe more crochet patterns saved for my kids. I had a couple of Miraculous Ladybug ones. I had a couple of Bluey ones because they're 7 and 3. That's what they're into. And I asked for my husband's opinion, and he decided to do the Eeveelutions, which is perfect because my kids are still both into Pokemon. My daughter loves Eeveelutions. She actually did an Eeveelution puzzle that we framed and she has hanging by her bed. So she loves Pokemon. She loves Eevee. So I have this all kitted up and ready to go. It's a project entirely from my yarn stash, so I didn't have to buy anything, which is like the best feeling ever. So I got a head start on it a little bit, and I started working on the leaf yarn section a little bit. Not much, just a few rows, but that's because I can kind of very easily work on this while my son is awake, and I don't have to worry about him getting stabbed by a needle. So this is an easy thing to do while he's awake, so I might just, now that it started, keep working on it while he's running around playing in the house, and we'll see how far I get. In June, I need to do a minimum of 8 days on this, so I'm hoping that I can get the leaf yarn section done at the very least, and then we'll see what section I go to next. I just was trying to figure out how wide I needed the blanket to be, and I just grabbed the first color yarn that was on top of the bag, and it happened to be green, and that was the color for leaf yarn, so that's why we're starting with leaf yarn. If I had really thought about it, I probably would have started with Jolteon first, because Jolteon's my favorite, and my husband was also like, start with the Pokeball, because then, you know, no one's going to know, but I didn't have enough white to start with the Pokeball because the Pokeball has a white center or white background. I didn't have enough white for that one. But just random luck of the draw, we're starting with Leafeon. So we'll see where we get to by 2 weeks. Like I said, minimum of 8 days in June, but we'll see if we get more. So that's pretty much everything I've worked on in the last 2 weeks. I have not worked on the Titanic Lego project in a couple of, in the last couple of weeks. We haven't really had D&D. We had a little bit of D&D, but it was more of like a, what we call it, a session 0, quote, quote, where we just kind of figure out our characters for the next campaign. And at that time, I was having like a bad mental day. So I'm still trying to figure out if I'm officially ADHD. I suspect the therapist, psychometrician, psychiatrist, I don't know what to call her. Sounds like she might suspect it too. So I was having like a bad like fidget day. Like my legs just couldn't stop moving, but I don't think it's restless legs. I've never been diagnosed with that either. Problem with being in the medical field is that you are your own worst enemy, and you go to Dr. Google and you use your own knowledge against you. So I'm trying to be better about that. So I didn't know if it was like restless legs or if it was an ADHD thing or what was going on, but like I was fidgety and I couldn't sit still. And it really wasn't feeling sitting down with Legos because like I was like twitchy. So I didn't really want to sit down and focus on my Legos. So I just kind of chilled and colored while we were doing our session 0 because I haven't done that in a long time and I just needed something to calm down. So, and I've been focused on the Storybook Cell during the Harry Potter podcast nights instead of working on my Supernatural car. But we have at least one podcast coming up before the June release of the next section. So I should be able to make at least a little bit of progress on the Supernatural car before I see you guys next time. And May was really crazy because we had 3 WIPGO calls, plus I added on Mirabilia, plus a new Sal start. So I had a lot to work on in May, but June doesn't seem to be going as crazy. So hopefully I'll be able to go back to my normal work on the Supernatural card during podcast and work on the Titanic Lego during D&D and get some progress done on those. Although I do know we are having a couple of skipped sessions of D&D because it's getting to be summer. Everyone's going on vacation. So if I decide to work on it outside of D&D, then we'll get some extra progress done on it. But we might not get a lot. So that's that. Last time I was also telling you guys that I took a lot of images and made my own patterns for them. And I didn't have the images uploaded to be able to show you guys because I do everything on my iPad and I'm using my husband's computer for this. So I didn't have everything transferred over, but I do now. So quote unquote haul. So I ended up bought, I didn't make this one. This is Princess Zelda by Make It Pink. The artwork is by Hannah Alexander Artwork Designs. So she created this one, and then the Make It Pink company went through, and because it's the same base, you actually get like 4 different patterns in one file. So you can do Princess Zelda in pink, Princess Zelda in blue, you can do Princess Midna, or Princess Hilda. And you can do all of them with short hair or long hair. So technically it works out to be like 8 different patterns that you could potentially do. So she'll eventually get started. Not anytime soon, unfortunately. And I think we decided we were going to start with Princess Zelda in the blue. Is that correct, Mitchell? He's in the room. He just shook his head. So we decided we're going to start with Princess Zelda with blue, and obviously got to do the long hair. So that's that one. That's the only one that I bought. The others were ones that I found pictures of on Pinterest. And like I was saying last time, if you guys know the author or the designer, artist is the word I'm looking for, please let me know so I can give them credit. I'm trying to research them now on Pinterest since I've been thinking about it, and reach out to them to make sure I have their permission. But like I said, I'm not doing these for sale. I'm not selling the pattern. I'm not selling the product. These are just for me. So I found this Titanic poster that I loved, and it's got all of the characters. It's got the ship. It's got the 1912. It's got the 1990s, and I was like, it's really great. I love it. So we made this one into a pattern. There was also this one of Jack and Rose in the ocean while the Titanic is sinking behind them that I really liked. I promise there's no more Titanic. There's a lot of Sailor Moon though. So for Sailor Moon, this is the one that I took a screenshot of. So like I said, me and my friend have been watching Sailor Moon. We finally got to season 5, which is Sailor Moon Eternal. And this is where she gets Moon Eternal makeup power, whatever she calls it, and she gets the wings part of her transformation. And I saw it and I was just like, I need this as a stitch. So I screenshotted the anime and I made my own pattern with that one. And then I was like, well, I found her normal transformation. So I found that one. I know there's a lot of people that have the transformation on Etsy with like all of the ribbons over here are all like rainbow. But I just like this one better. So we have that one that we might start at some point too. And because I've been seeing Sailor Moon on my Pinterest feed, obviously it's getting pushed up. There's more Sailor Moon to be seen. So I saw Sailor Moon in her fighting stance with Luna and the moon all in rainbow and had to start that one. Well, not start, but had to try and make a pattern of that one. This is her crescent moon wand with all of the flowers, and I've found since then the other 4 sailors have their wands as well. I don't know. If I ever do this one, maybe I'll look into doing the other ones, but these are just, let me have these in case I actually do want to start stitching them later. I need to finish patterns before I start more. So I'm not starting anything just yet. We gotta finish something first. Okay, and then another one for Sailor Moon that I found was she's all glittery and golden, and I know that that glitter is not going to translate really well in the pattern, but I'm thinking about maybe getting some like light effects thread to stitch with that. I've seen it online. I've heard other stitchers talking about it. I might try it. We'll see. It's again one of those ones that's in the background. If I get patterns finished and that's the one that calls to me, then yes, I'll do that one first. And then my childhood love, I burned out a Disney VHS of The Lion King when I was younger, and I specifically remember being my daughter's age, like 7 or 8 years old, and the part where Simba sings "I can't wait to be king," there's lines that go up the screen because I rewound that VHS tape so much and replayed that tape all the time because it was my favorite. So I've been looking for a long time for a good Lion King cross stitch, and I just haven't found anything. It's all just like Simba or just Nala or just Simba and Mufasa, and I'm like, no, I want all of it. Scar is my favorite. I need all of it. So I found this one, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. It's all of them all together. So it's got Scar, it's got Mufasa, it's got Simba, Nala, it's got Pride Rock, it's got the Hakuna Matata part. So yes, we have that one. And then I also found this one. Someone drew all of the princesses as ballerinas, and I have been eyeing a couple of all of the princess patterns on Etsy, but I can't decide which one I want, which one I like the most. And again, not something I want to start anytime soon, so I just kind of have them off in the wings. But I liked the way all of the princesses looked on this one, and this one seems more blocky. Like when I haven't looked at the pattern, but looking at this picture, it looks like it's going to be very blocky stitching, so it looks like it should theoretically be a little bit easier stitching. So I was like, okay, well, let's do that. And I think that's all of the ones that I found and bought. So that's all of my haul. So that's what I've got. We are going to work on Lady of the Flag for a few more days. We're going to work on Labyrinth a little bit as well and start working on this Eeveelution / Leafy On section of the blanket. And we'll also get Festive Feline done this next month. So goals before I see you guys in 2 weeks. Obviously we'll have more stitching done on Lady of the Flag because it's still May right now. I'm hoping we'll have at least another line done on Labyrinth, or all of the wording done on Labyrinth. If not, have it completed. I think we can do it in 2 weeks. Especially since I only got to work on Lady of the Flag for a few more days to be part of, to accomplish Mirror May and be satisfied with it. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks I can get Labyrinth done, and then I can start something new. But I don't know what I want to start. But I gotta get Labyrinth finished first. And then I think about a start. Because then you gotta think about like fabric and buying that. And that's how I gotta wait anyways. Because as you can see, all of my bars cleared off back there. That's going to be a fun story in a couple weeks. We'll get the whole story, and then we'll tell you guys what's going on in a couple of weeks. But it involves money, and I may have to wait on starting a new project, depending on what this adventure back here costs. But we'll update you on that in 2 weeks. So the other goal is to maybe get a good portion done on the blanket, and let's make progress on Supernatural and progress on the next portion of Titanic, and we will see where we get to in 2 weeks. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like all of my rambling madness. Can't talk, words are hard. I've been meaning to say that for the last 4 videos, and I'm finally remembering. This is why we have notes. So if you like my rambling and the fact that words don't always work for me, feel free to hit the like and subscribe and stay tuned, because we're always here. We're trying to be here every 2 weeks. But until next time, you've been watching Brand New Wine Stitches.